The allure of lost treasure hauls is one to which most people can relate. The maritime world is one of the best places to find these kinds of stories, and many explorers are still looking for that elusive treasure jackpot to this day. There are still many rumored ocean hauls to be found, whether it is buried pirate treasure or riches lost due to a ship sinking. Stay tuned as we bring you some of the most amazing treasures discovered. 5. San Jose. A shipwreck discovered at the bottom of the Caribbean with more than $22 billion in gold was the most recent treasure trove to be discovered. The massive discovery was made in 2015, but the details were kept under wraps until 2018. According to 9 News, the ship represented the most valuable deep-sea treasure haul to date, earning it the moniker Holy Grail of Shipwrecks. The San Jose was traveling from Panama to Colombia when it was lost in a battle with British ships during the War of the Spanish Succession on June 8, 1708. Because the British did not recover the treasure before it sank, it was lost for more than 300 years until it was discovered by an unmanned underwater vehicle called Remus 6000. 4. Black Swan Project. The Black Swan Project was a salvage operation in 2007 that resulted in the discovery of more than $500 million, or 3.6 million euros, in bullion. It was the most valuable treasure trove ever discovered at the time. The Spanish government claimed the treasure came from the Nuestra Señora de las Mercedes, a Spanish vessel sunk by British Navy ships in 1804. However, the identity and location of the ship were never revealed. 3. Anglo-Saxon Treasure. A metal detectorist in West Norfolk, England, discovered the largest Anglo-Saxon treasure hoard ever found: 131 coins and 4 golden objects. According to the British Museum, the majority of the items were discovered over the course of 6 years by a single detectorist who wishes to remain anonymous. 10 of the coins were discovered by former police officer David Cockle, who also used a metal detector, according to the Evening Standard. According to BBC News, Cockle kept his discovery a secret and then illegally sold the coins for 15,000 British pounds, about $20,000. When authorities discovered his theft in 2017, he was charged with converting criminal property and sentenced to 16 months in prison for pure greed, according to presiding Judge Rupert Overbury. Cockle was also fired from the police department. 8 of the 10 coins he sold have been recovered. According to Coin Week, the majority of the coins are Frankish tremisses, small coins from the 6th century that typically contain 85% to 95% gold. 9 of the coins are solidi, larger Byzantine coins worth 3 times the value of a tremissus. According to the British Museum, the treasure also includes a pendant, a gold bar, and 2 other objects that experts believe were part of larger pieces of jewelry. It was buried for unknown reasons around 600 AD, prior to the unification of England. Previously, the largest Anglo-Saxon coin treasure in England contained 101 coins. According to ART News, the treasure was discovered in a purse in Crondall, Hampshire in 1828. However, experts believe that the original haul was larger, as the purse appeared to have been disturbed at the time of its recovery. The famous Sutton Hoo burial ship, which contained a purse of 37 gold coins and was the subject of a recent Netflix film, is another treasure from East Anglia, the region of England where the Norfolk hoard was discovered. According to The Guardian, the Norfolk coroner is currently investigating the West Norfolk treasure to determine whether it belongs to the British Crown under the 1996 Treasure Act, which requires all treasure to be reported to the local coroner within 14 days of discovery. While the hoard is still unofficial, it appears likely that it will meet the Treasure Act's definition of treasure, which is defined as a collection of metallic objects or coins that are at least 300 years old and contain at least 10% gold or silver by weight, according to the Portable Antiquities Scheme, a joint program of the British Museum and the Amgueddfa Cymru National Museum of Wales. If the British monarchy claims the discovery, it may be housed in the Norwich Castle Museum, with assistance from the British Museum, for the benefit of the public. This is a hugely important find, said Gareth Williams, curator of early medieval coins at the British Museum. It must be considered alongside other recent finds from East Anglia and elsewhere, and it will help to transform our understanding of early Anglo-Saxon England's economy. 2. A mummy with a golden tongue. Archaeologists discovered 16 ancient mummies in Alexandria, 111 miles, 180 kilometers, north of Cairo in January. While the mummified bodies were in poor condition, one mummy in particular stood out. It had a golden tongue. Gold foil was traditionally placed in the mouths of the dead to allow them to communicate with Osiris, the Egyptian god of the afterlife. Surprisingly, the precious metal was still visible around 2,000 years after the mummies in question were buried, with archaeologists estimating they lived and died between 340 BC and 30 BC. During the excavation, experts were also pleased to discover a female funeral mask. According to the statement, two of the most significant mummies discovered at the site were wrapped in gilded cartonnage, or plastered layers of linen or papyrus, by lead archaeologist Kathleen Martinez of the University of Santo Domingo. One of the mummies was adorned with gold decorations depicting Osiris, while the other wore a horned crown with a cobra snake affixed to its band and a necklace with a falcon, the god Horus symbol. The researchers also discovered the remains of ancient scrolls that had been buried with the mummies. Taposiris Magna was founded around 280 BC by Ptolemy II, the son of Alexander the Great's general Ptolemy I, according to Chip Brown of National Geographic. The city's name translates to Great Tomb of Osiris, and Egyptian lore holds that the god's body, or at least a dismembered part of it, was buried there. Within Taposiris Magna's walls stood a number of temples dedicated to Osiris and Isis, a healing goddess who was also his wife and sister. The temple where the Golden Tun mummy was discovered was one of the religious sites honoring the god of the underworld. Martinez and her colleagues have discovered a number of significant archaeological finds that have changed their perception of the temple over the last 10 years, according to the statement. The statues depicting people buried at the site, according to the statement, were well preserved. Their hairstyles, headdresses, and facial features could still be identified by archaeologists. Though scholars are unsure of the exact dates of their deaths, Live Science reports that they lived during the Ptolemaic dynasty, 304 BC to 30 BC, or during the early days of Roman rule, which began with Cleopatra's death in 30 BC. 1. Dead Sea Scroll fragments. Since the first Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in the area in 1947, archaeologists have spent decades scouring the Qumran caves in Israel in the hopes of discovering more. The Israeli government announced in March that new fragments had been discovered, revealing that they contained verses from the books of the prophets Zechariah and Nahum and were almost entirely written in Greek. The recovered scroll fragments are among the most significant scriptural discoveries ever made, containing the earliest versions of the Hebrew Bible and other Jewish texts dating back to the time of Jesus Christ. A 6,000-year-old child's skeleton, rare coins, and a massive 10,500-year-old basket, which had a capacity of around 25 gallons, 114 liters, and is thought to be one of the oldest in the world, were also discovered in the area. The desert team demonstrated exceptional courage, dedication, and devotion to purpose, rappelling down to caves located between heaven and earth, said Israel Hassan, the departing director of the Israel Antiquities Authority, which is the custodian of approximately 15,000 scroll fragments. In a statement, he explained that their work in the caves entailed digging and sifting through them, enduring thick and suffocating dust, and returning with gifts of immeasurable worth for mankind. Except for the Book of Esther, the Dead Sea Scrolls contain the earliest known copies of parts of almost every book of the Hebrew Bible written on parchment and papyrus. The biblical and apocryphal texts, which date from around the 3rd century BC to the 1st century AD, are widely regarded as among the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 20th century and continue to be the subject of heated academic debate around the world. The Judean desert's arid conditions provided a unique environment for the natural preservation of artifacts and organic materials that would not have survived the test of time otherwise. The most recent fragments come from a scroll discovered in the so-called Horror Cave, located south of Ein Gedi in Israeli territory. It was written in Greek by 2 scribes and dates from the time of the Bar Kokhba revolt, nearly 1,900 years ago, when Jewish rebels fled with their families and hid from the Roman authorities. In the caves, that's all we had for you today. Hope you enjoyed the show. If so, please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the subscribe button. Also, show us some love by clicking on the like button below and sharing the video with your friends and family. Turn on the notification button to get updates on our new videos. That's all we had for today. Bye, see you next time in the upcoming video.